based on the trailer for Extraction, I was expecting it to be good, but it was even better than I was expecting. Like, it was on another level of action movie. I've heard a lot of people comparing it to John Wick, but in my opinion, it was better than John Wick. I didn't really love John Wick like a lot of diehard fans do. I still haven't seen all of 2 and 3 because I'm just not that drawn to it. Very entertaining, nicely shot, great stunts and all that, but I didn't care that much about the world and the characters in it. Sacrilege when it comes to action movies, I know. But I really was drawn in and sucked into this movie universe of Extraction. And yeah, it's a sort of a small-scale story. It's mostly just set in Dhaka, in Bangladesh, and a little bit in India at the start. But I really enjoyed all the characters in this movie. I love Tyler Rake, Chris Hemsworth. I thought he played it fantastically. The kid, the actor who played the kid, he was great. Very emotive, and I really felt sorry for that kid because he was a kid raised in the world of drug crime lords and gangsters, and he was a good-hearted person. He felt bad for every person his father had killed. I mean, this was a decent person, this kid. And Tyler Rake was a decent person. They really humanized him. And man, did they humanize who I thought was the main villain of the film for a while, which was that henchman of the kid's father, who was trying to get the kid back. But you didn't know if he was trying to get the kid back, for nefarious purposes, or if it truly was just to protect his own family. But they really humanized that guy who, spoiler alert, turned out not to really be a villain. He was trying to save the kid too. Yes, he worked for a crime lord, and he'd probably done some horrific things, but he was motivated in this movie to protect not just his family, but it seemed like he actually cared about the kid as well. All right? And David Harbour was great in his small cameo. And the action itself, how am I 2 minutes in? I haven't even mentioned the action yet, because that's a testament to I actually cared about the characters. All right? The action was spectacular. All right? That 12-minute or so sequence, about a third of the way into the movie, which is just, it feels like a single shot. Obviously, it's sort of meshed together like in 1917, because they can do that with the wonders of, modern special effects. You can splice different cuts together to make it look like a seamless single shot when you maybe go behind a wall or through a doorway or something like that. But it was done so seamlessly, it felt like one continuous shot. And the action in that, the fights, the Chris Hemsworth fighting with the soldiers, and was incredible. The hand-to-hand combat, the choreography of those fights was so frenetic and so tense and suspenseful and just executed flawlessly. And it looked and felt so real. All right, now usually I hate Shaky-Cam, and this movie had quite a bit of Shaky-Cam in the action scenes. And at first it was really pissing me off because I was really loving the universe of the movie, the setting, and the characters, all right, and the pacing. I was loving it. And so the Shaky-Cam was pissing me off, but I got used to it after a while, and it really made me feel like I was there on the ride with them. All right, I feel like that's the only time Shaky-Cam can work in found footage movies, because it's got to promote that whole feel of, found footage, and that you're there, you're witnessing what the people witnessed with their handheld camera, right? It adds to the feel of realism. And in action movies like this, it works because in this film, especially in that action sequence, it felt like I was following them, and I was, it felt like I was also being rescued by Tyler Rake, Chris Hemsworth's character, and that I was trying to stay safe and dodge punches and dodge bullets, and that it really worked. It was very immersive. And that's usually not the case in a lot of these generic action movies. They just use Shaky-Cam, I feel, to pad the low budget, because they don't want to use tripods and dollies and cameras on rails and things like that. They just want to run behind the actor and film it in a cheaper, quicker, lazy way. But it didn't feel lazy in this movie. In this movie, it felt like it was there to add realism and to add to the frenetic, suspenseful pace of the film. And it worked for me. It worked, one of the rare cases where it works, okay? I also feel it worked in that movie Uncut Gems as well. But I'll save that for another review, all right? So the action, like I said, it was very immersive and really just high testosterone, non-stop. When it started, it didn't stop, all right? And there was downtime in between the action as well. And in those moments, the characters were really humanized and fleshed out. It was less than 2 hours, this movie, but I felt like I really knew these people by the end, all right? And even David Harbour's character, which is almost like a cameo, is very short performance in the film, but I really enjoyed it. It was comical, and at the end, it was quite impactful as well. The fact that the kid had to kill him, and Tyler, you could sort of feel Tyler Rake's heartbreak that the kid had got his hands dirty, and I feel like he wanted to protect the kid's innocence, because that kid had an innocence about him, and he wanted to protect that because he saw the kid was not a criminally minded and nefarious like his father was. The kid was pure and innocent, and I feel like he was heartbroken a bit in that moment when he killed David Harbour's character. Which was totally justified. It was in self-defense. David Harbour was going to murder him, okay? But you could see the kid's innocence die a little bit in his eyes, the fact that he killed a person. But his conscience was still intact, which was a sign of hope. The kid, you could see that he wasn't happy that he had killed somebody, but it was just purely out of self-defense. All right? The scene where Chris Hemsworth's character opens up about his son was heartbreaking, totally, as a father of sons. I mean, I felt every line he said, and the way he was holding back emotion there, trying to stay stoic. I loved his character. Tyler Rake was just a stoic man. Perfectly encapsulates his character. He held it together, but not because he was afraid to show emotion or anything like that. It's because he had a job to do. He held it together for the sake of the mission and for the sake of other people, so that he could be the one who remained strong, so he could protect others around him. All right, but he admitted in that vulnerable moment that he wasn't strong for his son when the time really mattered, and that he ran away because he couldn't handle watching his son slowly pass away. And that was a powerful moment for me. Because when the kid said, "You're brave," and he said, "I'm not brave," I'm like, what are you kidding, man? You're courageous like a lion. But then when he admitted in that moment that he wasn't brave when it really mattered, that he didn't have the guts he didn't have it in him to watch his child die, that really hit me. And it's great writing. The Russo brothers who wrote this, or was it just the one Russo who wrote it? Either way, I thought it was brilliantly written. I love the dialogue. I love the pacing. I feel the screenplay was very strong. The directing by Sam Hargrave was fantastic, I thought. And like I said, at first I had the shits. I'm like, Sam, stop shaking that bloody camera, please. I hate that. But it worked for this film. I just had to let it unfold and really let myself get sucked into the movie. I had to turn all the lights out so that I wasn't, reminded that I was sitting in my lounge room. And it worked. I was drawn into that movie. I was along for that ride. I cared about those characters. I even feel the other background characters, the girl who was like the team leader of Tyler Rake's mercenary team. I thought she had a great screen presence. Minimal dialogue, but she had a real good look about her, especially in the face. I feel like she was pretty stoic too. I like that in a character. It's fine to show a few moments of vulnerability. It added to his character and showed extra layers to it in that scene with the kid. But if he was blubbering and, emotional the whole movie, it would have ruined his character for me. So the fact that he kept it together when it really mattered, it endeared me to Tyler's character even more. And just all the fight scenes were fantastic. So well choreographed. I can't praise this movie enough. The guy who played that, like I said earlier, the henchman of the kidnapped child's father, that henchman guy, I've heard him likened to the Indian Terminator, and he really was. I really felt the the allusion to the Terminator. Even the fact that he was sort of like relentless in his pursuit for the kid and was almost like unstoppable and could take such a beating, just like the Terminator. And then he checks into a hotel and he's inspecting himself in the mirror, just like in the first Terminator film when Arnold has to repair his eye by cutting it out. In this one, he had to repair his nose. Oh, man, I felt that scene when he crunched his nose back. Brilliantly done, again. That scene was great. I really enjoyed that guy's character. He was a beast. He was a real beast of a man. He took a beating just like he was Tyler's equal, I feel. And that's why the fact that they teamed up at the end was great. A great plot twist. I did not see that coming at all. Maybe I just, maybe it was, there were overshadowing and overtones that they would team up and I just missed it. I was oblivious. I don't know. I have to watch it again. Absolutely. This is a movie I will revisit. That's how good it was. I enjoyed it so much, I will revisit this film and I will watch it again. Whereas the John Wick movies, and the first one was a great movie, great action film, I'll say. But I have no desire to revisit it, really. Even though the gunfight scenes were good, I don't know, it got a bit overdone after a while. Whereas this movie the action felt fresh throughout the whole film, from chase scenes to fight scenes, and it felt so freaking real. All right, John Wick didn't really feel real. It felt, but one thing I'll say, I did appreciate in John Wick the wide angle shots and the non-shaky cam. That I love. I don't know. I'd love to see a version of this film shot with without any shaky cam at all, and then compare it. Would I enjoy it more? I don't know if I'd enjoy it more. It would look better, I believe, but I feel this movie, the shaky cam adds to the immersion of the film. And it's not as bad as in other films where you can't see what's going on. In this movie, you can see all the action and choreography in all its glory. You can see it. There were so many times I was like, oh, what a hit. Oh, that was spectacular. Like there's a scene where that Indian Terminator guy, he's fighting on the bridge. Man, what a great final, third act climactic sequence that was on the bridge. And there's a scene where he has a guy on the ground, a soldier, and he's holding the gun on the guy while he's reloading it and then shoots him. That was fantastic. Tyler swung a guy around and smacked one soldier with the legs of another soldier in another fight scene. It was great. Also, I've got to talk about the end of Tyler Rake at the end of the film on that amazing bridge sequence. That was fantastic. Very climactic, and I love a good climax in a movie. I like when it's building the tension, and then it's not anticlimactic, and this film wasn't at all. That bridge sequence was as frenetic as the rest of the movie, all right? And Tyler Rake taking it like Boromir at the end there, bullets relentlessly and standing his ground. I loved his Boromir moment there, all right? And if you don't know what I'm talking about, I mean, how can you not? It's in the first Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring, Boromir's last stand to defend the hobbits. And he also stoically and heroically takes his arrows, literally, to defend them. And I love moments of heroism like that in movies. And Tyler Rake had his moment as well. And just his nods to the kid of sort of, it's all right. I'm at peace with my death because it meant that you are safe. And that's what I care about. I feel like that boy obviously became a stand-in for his own son, and he felt like a father figure to that kid, and that was great, very sweet, the way they had their, his father-son relationship with that kid, and I wanted him to rescue the kid and be the father to that child, to take that kid out of that criminal lifestyle that he didn't belong in, and but yeah, his heroic death at the end there was great. But is he dead? The final shot of the movie insinuates, you see the kid is diving in the pool and there's someone watching him. Now, I took that as two ways, and I choose to be optimistic. The pessimistic way is that someone's gonna kidnap this kid again for ransom. Obviously not the main drug lord. Oh, he was played fantastically as well, the main drug lord. He was just a weaselly, scummy son of a bitch, right? Using child soldiers and killing children, throwing them off roofs, his henchman guy. I really wanted that fat henchman son of a bitch to get his just desserts, and it looks like he might, but it might be off camera. because we see that the main guy is taken out, and that was a satisfying scene in the bathroom. The girl just took him out beautifully. I fist pumped when I saw that. That's how invested I was in this movie. All right. I've got to mention David. I'm all over the place here. I just got to mention everything that I loved about it. David Harbour's death scene. For some reason, again, it reminded me of Terminator 2, Miles Bennett Dyson's scene, which is, yes, it's the more memorable death scene, and the way he died was very memorable. The laboured breathing, and then giving up his last breath. But I was sort of just reminded of that a little bit, of David Harbour's like shock at his impending doom and his just sort of acceptance of it. That it harkened me back to Terminator 2 and Miles Bennett Dyson's death. So that was memorable for me also, that scene. The way he just sat there and let it wash over him. But as I was saying, the ending there, I loved how that evil drug lord from Dakar was taken out. He was a scumbag, and he was taken out like a coward bitch that he was, while taking a piss. Nothing better than that, all right? By that great female character as well at the end there. And she had a very great screen presence. But, so at the end, you see a blurry image of someone watching the kid, and it stays out of focus and then cuts to black. Brilliant ending, okay? Because it's open to interpretation. Now, was that some other rival gang member henchman guy about to kidnap the kid, also for ransom, because this kid fetches a high price? People are willing to go to the ends of the earth to get him back. All right, so is that open for a sequel? The kid gets kidnapped again? Or is it Tyler Rake watching over the child? Is he back? Or did the kid, a third interpretation that just came to me, did the kid hallucinate that because he loves Tyler Rake and he sees Tyler Rake as, his guardian angel? And is that Tyler Rake as his guardian angel watching over him, the kid imagining it, or maybe even really happening in a supernatural way? I don't know. And it's great that it's open to interpretation like that. I take the optimistic angle that Tyler Rake somehow survived the neck wound, because it wasn't directly through the neck. You assume he bled out or he died from his wounds. But remember, when the kid looked over the bridge, Tyler Rake's body was gone. Yes, probably got washed away by the river currents, but maybe not. Maybe he survived. Anyway, before I rant too much longer, I'll leave it there. I may expand and do some other videos on this movie, character analysis from my point of view or whatever. But if you haven't seen this and you love action movies, you got to watch it. It's brilliant. It's a great movie. It's one of the best movies I've seen in a while, in many years. So far, it's my favorite of 2020. And I loved a few others that I've watched. Love, Marriage, Repeat. If you haven't seen my review of that, and The Gentleman. So far, these are the three best movies I've seen so far this year. 2020 has been a strong year for movies, despite all the cinemas being closed. And so check it out. It really, in my trailer review, I said a potential action masterclass, and this really was an action masterclass. Oh, and it was great to see Sam Hargreaves with his epic beard in the cameo role as a sniper. I really enjoyed him. Shame to see him get blown away. But yeah, the forest sequence was great too, and the boat sequence. The whole film was great. Just watch the damn movie. I really enjoyed it. The characters were great. The action was great. It had heart. It was frenetic. It was suspenseful. It was non-stop, and it never took the foot really off the pedal, because even in the quieter moments, you still felt the overarching threat of the narrative was there, of the forces closing in on them. They never really had a time to take a breather, even though there were quiet moments. Anyway, loved the movie. Check it out. What do I give it out of 10? As I'm watching it, I'm like, by the end of the movie, I was so invested, I was like 10 out of 10. This was brilliant, all right? But, I don't know, maybe I'll take it down to a 9. I've got to consider the fact that the Shaky-Cam, which I usually hate, but it worked for this movie. So you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to give it a 9.5 out of 10. Something's holding me back. I don't know what it is. Need more reflection. But, brilliant movie. Well worth a watch. It was just a non-stop, action-packed, adrenaline thrill ride. And I love the hell out of it. All right, it's just, I love a redemption story, and that's what this was. I mean, Tyler Rake was a man, a broken man. He had a deep shame within him because of the circumstances surrounding his son's passing, and he was able to redeem himself by sacrificing his life potentially to save the boy on the bridge at the end there. He had his little Boromir redemption moment at the end there, but did he really die? I don't know, because, as far as I'm concerned, Tyler Rake lives, all right? But, and I didn't mention, this movie has some funny-ass moments. It's got some great lines in it, too, all right? Some laugh-out-loud moments, especially when he was slapping the shit out of those guys in the alleyway. That was hilarious, all right? So you got to check it out, honestly. A real, very reminiscent of High Noon as well. Just because of the whole, everyone gives up hope for this kid and tells him, just let the kid die to save yourself. It's not worth, protecting him. And when he asks for help, almost nobody is willing to help him, really. His team comes through at the end, but he's betrayed by his best buddy, whose life he had saved, all right? And that's just what's so great about it. It's a real... It pushes the virtues of redemption, stoicism, bravery, and self-sacrifice. And these are great themes that aren't promoted enough. Anyway, I'll leave it there. Check it out if you haven't. It's well worth it. And it's one of the best things I've ever seen on Netflix. And Sam Hargrave, amazing debut as a director. Can't wait to see what you do next, mate. Fantastic work, all right? And it was also, I've got to say, it's great seeing Hemsworth rocking his Aussie accent. And, getting to see a bit of Australia at the start of the movie too. All right? It's rare that you have an Australian action hero. That's another reason why I want him to live. It'd be great to have a franchise with an Australian action hero for a change. All right? Anyway, I'll leave it there. Not much else to say, but please check it out. And while you're there, thanks for listening for 21 bloody minutes of me rambling. Please like, share, and subscribe, and comment. Let me know if you agree or disagree. Take care of yourselves. Be good. And wash your damn hands, and I'll see you later.